Um, so hello again, this is the Uncanny Critic, also widely known in the universe as Mayra. I actually filmed this video like I think a month and a half ago, and then I went back and I was like, oh, this is absolute trash, let me completely scrap it. So I did that. It is today's video, which is about Barbie and obviously the nostalgia factor. The nostalgia factor is a system that I've created whereby I rank a piece of media and how much I feel nostalgic towards it, so it's very by situation, but I also look at it critically and point out, from older eyes, what I find good about it, what I find about it, but at the same time appreciating it for its impact on my childhood and its continued impact in my adulthood. I'm scared that I'm calling myself an adult. I don't feel like it, but I'm paying rent, so I think that qualifies me as an adult. I don't know. Does that qualify me as an adult? So today's video is about Barbie. So the Barbie cinematic universe, the BCU, if you will. Now this is interesting since like I mentioned, I scrapped the video, but now I've watched more Barbie videos and I have a more extensive list of Barbie movies to talk about. So strap in, fellas, because this is gonna be mind-blowing for me, because I'm going to go through a lot of movies and talk about them in general. The way it goes, I'm gonna talk about a movie, I'm gonna try and badly recap it from my memory, probably really badly, and then I'm gonna talk about the main things in it, and then at the very end I'm gonna talk about the general trends in these movies, whether they be good or bad. So here we go. I'm so excited for this because I friggin' love these movies, like grew up on them, continue to watch them today, so that's it's fun, it's a fun experience for me. So what is the BCU? So the BCU that I am referring to today is the cinematic universe that spans from Barbie the Nutcracker, the first, I would argue, modern CGI Barbie movie, until the most recent one. So the BCU that we're gonna talk about today is gonna span from Barbie the Nutcracker until Barbie Princess Charm School, although we won't talk about Barbie Princess Charm School. It will be in my ranking because it was kind of the last movie I watched properly before actually becoming, like a older person. Ew, an older person. So 15-year-old me is apparently an older person. Anyways, so what is Barbie? Barbie is a doll created by the toy company Mattel, but the BCU is a film franchise created off of this doll, with the primary motivation to sell it to young girls. So yeah, that's the BCU, and every single movie is different, and sometimes they're extrapolated from older source material or other source material, and sometimes they're original stories. We'll get into that now. My nostalgia factor for this is an absolute and spicy 10 out of 10. I'm very nostalgic for these movies. Objectively good or bad, I think it's pointless since I can't have an objective opinion about this, but I do think that some of these movies are genuinely good, kids movies, but yeah, some of them may be so-so, but in general, I don't think I have an objective opinion about this. I'm sorry. Here is my definitive rating of all the movies that I watched and grew up with. On the screen, I'm gonna put it because I'm too lazy to count them down, honestly, and I'm not gonna talk about every single one because we're gonna be sitting here for 5 hours. That won't be nice. Let's just get into it. First movie on the list is
What's wrong, Wolfie? Are you sick? Something in your throat?
So, what happens in this movie? Well, first of all, this movie is an adaptation of Mark Twain's Prince and the Pauper. So, wow, we love when an adaptation becomes barbified, they're really girl boss. So in this movie, Princess Annalise and Princess No, Princess Erica. She's not a princess. Princess Annalise and Pauper Erica are both played by the titular Barbie. Oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. My neighbors are hearing me right now. And both of them were born looking exactly the same, but they kind of live like in completely different lifestyles for obvious reasons. Princess Annalise is a princess who has a kingdom that is about to go bankrupt or has gone bankrupt. Unbeknownst to them, it's because our baddie of the hour, Mr. Preminger, is stealing all the gold, which is the industry that makes them rich.
It says she's run away. So she is. What's this stupid cat doing?
And therefore, Princess Annalise has to get married to a king from a rich kingdom to sustain the people who are starving. And the pauper has bigger problems, I think, because she has debt and she has to like work like every single hour of her day to this horrible like person called Madame Carp or whatever, and she's a seamstress and she wants to escape her horrible life of her enslaved working. But I mean, she has a really precarious condition in comparison to Princess Annalise, but they both have issues and they both kind of want to switch positions. I don't think Princess Annalise wants to be a pauper but like they want to switch positions in the general sense. Yeah, and also Princess Annalise is in love with her tutor, Julian, who's kind of not that rich, you know, so it's kind of an issue. Preminger, as I mentioned, is a baddie and he plots this story to kind of kidnap Princess Annalise and bring her back, therefore marrying her and taking the throne. And as soon as she gets kidnapped, Prince Julian investigates and stuff happens. Erica kind of replaces Princess Annalise for a while in the castle because she looks like her, because Julian's like, oh my god, something's sus here, I'm gonna check it out. Spoiler alert, he gets kidnapped by Mr. Preminger too, baddie of the hour, baddie of the month, baddie of the decade. Preminger, best Barbie villain, hands down. I don't know, they defeat Preminger altogether, and Erica falls in love with King Dominic, supposed to be the king that Princess Annalise marries. And then, they save Princess Annalise, and then they save the kingdom because find a new element or something, and they all live happily ever after. Yay, great recap. Am I right? It's horrible. I really liked this movie. I thought I think it is the best Barbie movie, to be very honest with you. It taught me class consciousness. Well, yeah, I mean, like as a baby, a toddler, kid, I think class consciousness was something that I didn't really understand. And, it's good to have that in a kid's movie, and also a depiction of someone who is in the lower class in a positive manner is also something good to have in a kid's movie. It has freaking good music. It has amazing music. Songs are kind of fire in this, Erica, bestie, is a feminist icon. I don't know, I liked her better than Princess Annalise. Like, oh, boo-hoo, being rich sucks, whatever, nobody cares. I'm kidding, both of them are fun and fine, I guess. They both have nice characters, personalities. They have distinct personalities, more or less, but not overpowering, which we will talk about later. It's a common trope in Barbie movies. But yeah, like, I like the story of this movie. I guess the moral is like, love doesn't have boundaries in class or something. And also, like, I like that they get married to their love interests who they've known for years, because Erica doesn't immediately get married, but she's like, hey, I want to be free and I want to like go and sing and do a world tour even though nobody knows who I am. Princess Annalise also knows Julian for a long time, so it's not like really a weird and annoying trope of them getting just married all of a sudden because, well, the plot dictates it. And also both of the love interests were kind of interesting and had a personality and were nice and not annoying, which is something that's kind of rare. I don't see anything I really don't like about this movie. Maybe there's like a capitalist criticism under this because, once they run out of gold, the entire kingdom collapses, and they only sustain when they find something to make a new industry out of, which is kind of like, ooh, like capitalism is a very unsustainable system, isn't it? But I highly doubt that's what they were trying to say with the movies, since they are kind of selling us a toy through this franchise, which is like, I think, the epitome of the epitome of capitalism, you know? Based off of 12 Dancing Princes, I don't know. I didn't even know that this movie had source material until like today. Bestie Barbie here is called Genevieve. She has 11 sisters who are also princesses, so she's not alone. She's not the only princess here. They are all like different and distinct, and so is she, like, because like all the like characters in this movie actually kind of also have a personality, maybe not overpowering, but it's still there. But hey, their father's like, yo, like, maybe you should kind of be better princesses. So he gets his like cousin or something, he gets her, and then like she trains them, but she's actually really evil and she wants to take over the throne, so that's kind of sucky for them. She forces them to stop dancing and dresses them all in gray dresses. Not me kind of liking the gray dresses when I was younger. Anyways, so to escape their trauma, every night they go into a magical land where they dance all night, and their shoes are all worn out. They get discovered, but point is they kind of make it back in time to save their father, who's been like being poisoned by the evil cousin unbeknownst to them, so that's nice. And then they all save them. Their wittiness and cleverness and their different traits that were initially supposed to be negative but turn out to be positive. Yeah, I think this is one of my favorites as well. It doesn't necessarily have any songs, but what I like about it is it kind of touches on the idea of trauma and escape. I also like that it kind of talks about, you know, even though it's not that like groundbreaking, it's like, ooh, like she plays this kind of sport, but she can still be a princess. You have like a nice-ish love interest. He's not like the most interesting, but they have a believable relationship, Genevieve and him. He's the butler, so that's cool. A little bit of cross-class relationships, you know? Barbie trope again. The villain in this movie is conventionally actually kind of, you know, alright. Like, she's not unattractive, like, which is an issue in a lot of Barbie movies, that, you know, they're portraying them as conventionally unattractive, and therefore, like, interlacing the idea of conventional unattractiveness, which is basically said by society, to evilness, which I think is effed up, so we should not do that. Now, let's move on to my favorite thing ever, which is... Oh my god. Go get him! He's dead. So, let's talk about the first one, which is Fairytopia. So, Barbie Fairytopia. Bestie Elena is born without wings. She's a wingless fairy, and she lives in Fairytopia, so that's sucks for her, and everybody bullies her, so that's kind of sad. We have evil Laverna, who put this poison in the clouds that makes fairies with wings in Fairytopia like not fly anymore, so actually Elena has an advantage here, and she also ends up saving the day because one of the guardians of Fairytopia like ends up being like kidnapped or something, because actually all of them end up being kidnapped, and Laverna's about to like, I don't know, kill them or something. I don't know, she's about to do something bad. Elena comes and she's like, ooh, I'm gonna rescue you guys, and she does rescue them and save Fairytopia. Momentarily she's about to like, you know, be seduced by the idea of wings by Laverna. She comes through and she defeats them with the power of her winglessness. Yeah, and then at the end she gets gifted wings by the enchantress, which I think is like their president or something, president of Fairytopia. Yeah, she can fly now, but it doesn't really matter. It's like an additional thing that doesn't really change the fact that she saved Fairytopia and that she has discovered her self-worth without her wings. I think as a movie it's alright. Like, I think it could have been shorter, but I think the best thing about it is that it's original Barbie source material, so it's not like derived from something else. It's a whole like world that they've created, and they really set up this world quite well. And they live inside of a petal, like inside of roses and flowers, and I think that's so like cool. Like I loved that when I was a child. Yeah, I love the sidekick Bibble. I know some people find him annoying, but I think he's like the best Barbie side character ever. I just think he's adorable and funny. I really like the fact that Elena doesn't really have like a love interest in these movies, actually. I think it's really, really important to have a female character who's not like really that taken away by a love interest, or doesn't necessarily have a love plotline, because you don't have to have a love plotline to exist in the world. Yeah, and I just love the world, and I think it's a good movie. And then we move on to so Barbie Mermaidia. So Elena now has wings, but surprise, she needs to like do something new. Basically, Laverna is back, but she doesn't have any powers because she was defeated last movie. But she sends her like henchmen or something, fungus people, I don't know what they're called. It's just really stupid villains, honestly. But she sends them, and they kind of like capture Prince Nalu, who's the Prince of Mermaidia, aka like the 5-minute love interest of the first movie that wasn't really developed as a love interest, as I mentioned. They're like, hey, we're gonna poison all of Mermaidia if you don't give us this immunity berry. Haha, MacGuffin. Who doesn't love a MacGuffin movie? We're gonna poison all of Mermaidia unless you give us the immunity berry that is supposed to give Laverna back all her powers. And he's like, I'm not gonna do that. And then they're like, well, we're gonna like poison the entirety of Mermaidia. Well, actually, no, because Elena comes and saves the day with new characters such as Nori, who is like, I think she's like Prince Nalu's like love interest, and she's like, the beginning she's kind of like snappy and like, hey, like, are you trying to like take away my bow? But they end up forming a nice friendship, and I think that's cool. And yeah, they save the day and kind of switch up like the berries or something, and then they give Laverna a self berry and she transforms into a frog. And then they give Elena a self berry, but she transforms into a fairy because she had transformed into a mermaid so she can help her friend, something, I don't know, it's just tiring. And there's like a nice little scene at the end which I really like, where they kind of like throw the MacGuffin to each other. I love these kind of scenes where they throw the MacGuffin to each other to kind of avoid the villain from having it. I just think these scenes are so fun. I just love this movie, and I love that it expands the universe. Favorite thing also is that they save the prince, so it's kind of like a subversion of a trope. You know, it shows like this nice friendship that blossoms between Elena and Nori. You know, you don't have to be like jealous of each other. And then at the end, again, Elena doesn't end up with a love interest. We love that for her. You know, you don't have to be defined by love, so that's nice. I think the only thing I would say is, actually, this is something that spans through Fairytopia and Mermaidia, even though I mentioned that wings are not like something that define Elena. I do think it's a tad bit ableist that, you know, she had to have wings. You know, I just wish she didn't, and then it would be like more interesting. You know, I don't know if she stopped being bullied because she had wings or because she saved Fairytopia, but either or, it would have been more interesting. But I do understand that, you know, the point was, yeah, like she didn't really need the wings, they were just there.
You deserve them.
And then we're gonna move on to my absolute fave out of all these movies, which is... Now you may be like, Barbie Mariposa is your favorite? Well, yeah, it is my second favorite after Mermaidia, I must say. Okay, so Elena tells a story of Mariposa, who lives in Flutterfield, which is a place that kind of like has restricted boundaries because they can't go outside because there are skeezites who will like eat them or something, but skeezites are disattracted, that's not a word, I just created it, to light, so therefore there has to be like a lot of light in Flutterfield to keep all the skeezites away. Mariposa is like bookish, she's kind of like an introvert, she hates parties, she's not like other girls, she's a girl boss, but at the same time she works for these like two like really snobby narcissist girls, Ryla and something else, I forgot, Ryla and her twin, let's call them. But yeah, she runs into Prince Carlos one day, who's also an introvert, oh my god. And basically what happens is Queen is sick. Why is Queen sick? Well, that's because her advisor, I think it's always the freaking advisor, I don't know, someone related to her, is poisoning her, but unbeknownst to everyone, Mariposa has to go and find the antidote, and she takes Ryla and the twin with her, and they go through a lot of adventures, and they could get the antidote, and they end up saving the queen. Well, sounds very like boring, but it's an adventure movie and there's like a lot of obstacles and stuff. But I think the reason why I like this movie is that it does not center around Elena or doesn't center around titular Barbie character. I think it's interesting. I feel like Mariposa is a more like well-rounded character. I don't know, she feels like a real person even though she's not. Like she feels like someone you'd meet rather than like, ooh, she's the bookish one. I think we have more diversity in this movie, although it's kind of weird. Like you have some like people who are like Latina and then some people have different accents. It's really confusing, the accent things in these movies. But yeah, I think like there's more diversity, which is an issue in Barbie movies. Bruh, is Mariposa Latina or not?
To braid in our hair.
Is she?
You look so beautiful.
Is she? I also like the fact that it's, I don't know, just the tone of this movie is really nice. It's very like dreamy, and there's also like this nice sequence. There's like a chamber of reflection or something, and I really love that part at the end. I also think it's nice because all of the characters have development, so even the snobbish characters are developed, and I think that's really important, you know, like we don't like two-dimensional characters, please. Also Mariposa develops, so that's really nice. Character development is a really, really welcome thing in kids movies, you know, that are usually not taken seriously. So the next movie we're gonna talk about is so this was one of my top 3, and let me just recap the friggin' plot for you. So Lina and Alexa, I'm just gonna call her Liana. I'm so bad with names, even in real life. They live in a cottage together and they're besties, literally besties, and they own like a flower shop or something. I don't know, they make flowers. One day they're like buying something from their favorite secondhand store, Depop, secondhand person, I don't know, this old lady, and then they discover, oh my god, it's a mirror. Yeah, no, they don't discover it's a mirror, they buy a mirror so they know it's a mirror, but they discover, oh my god, the mirror is singing. Then they get the mirror out and then they realize that this person is trapped in there and she's trying to like sing with them. Then they discover that this person has been trapped there by evil lady who is a muse, and this evil lady like got mad and basically like banished Melody into this mirror because of something I forgot, and then they have to like go to the Diamond Castle and break the spell or something. I don't freaking remember the plot of this movie, and that's fine because it's fire anyways. And I like the really, really intense focus on friendship. I think it's really rare, not even in just kids movies, but in movies in general, to have a focus on healthy female friendship and platonic affection. Like I think that's like something really important, and they do say it's the first Barbie best friends movie, which is I think is a really tacky thing to say, but I do think that's really cool. I think that it's super realistic the way they portray how they like fight and make up, and yeah, this story is told through the format of Barbie telling the story to like Stacy, which is her younger sister or something, about the power of friendship after some sort of thing. It's a very popular Barbie format where they kind of like tell a story to a child. This movie has two characters who are distinct personality wise, so I think that's nice. And they save the day as well, and it's kind of like, yeah, they have agency as well. And there's no like Prince Charming effect, so yeah, well, they do have love interest and there is an indication that they might be together. It's not like set in stone, and I really like that. They just don't get married at the end, and they don't ever take away the focus from friendship, and I think that's super important. It has some good music, and it's about the power of music, and also there were like very like scarring scenes in this movie for me. Like, I don't know, there were some possession scenes and I was like traumatized as a child. And yeah, the love interests here, while they do have personalities, kind of funny at times, they were kind of simps and they had like problematic elements. But let's talk about, so there was also like a PS2 game that I used to play all the time for this movie, which I think is really funny and random, but just wanted to mention it. Bestie Barbie is not Barbie anymore, she's Rue, and Rue was left on an island. I mean, she wasn't left, that indicates that somebody like abandoned her there. She's stranded on an island when she's really young. It's a random island with a bunch of animals, and the animals take care of her, and she grows up there and she becomes an island girl, you know? She becomes a wilderness girl. But then one day this random prince comes with his like royal scientist or something, which is like, I don't know, is that like a real thing that people are called, like a royal scientist, to discover the island? And they discover Rue, and they were like, hey, why don't you guys come back with us?
What will I discover next? It's all a mystery, different every day.
Me in this year.
Kingdom? Perhaps
Do they not know the science behind this? What the to humanity, don't join monkey, come back to humanity. And she's like, okay, let's do that, because I mean, understandable, since Rue hasn't seen another human being in forever. Yeah, so they go there, and then they discover, you know, that as soon as the prince is back, they're like, oh my god, Prince, you have to get married. I don't remember why he had to get married, but he had to get married with this princess called Princess Luciana.
I can just see it.
Yo, they just
Everyone
met,
gathered here for the engagement
and she's like
ball
upset that he's getting
tomorrow
married.
night.
Bruh, it's been one scene. Don't run away. Don't run away like that. Who's such a queen. I love Princess Luciana. I just wish her character was more developed. Spoiler alert. Princess Luciana's mother is evil. I forgot what her name was. Starts with an A. And she's like, bruh, who is this like island girl? You know, what's she doing here? And she tries to make her life miserable. She creates this pandemic of animals like going into a coma with this like poison, and she's like, hey, Rue spread that pandemic, she's unvaccinated, she's from like an island. And they're like, oh, maybe it's her. And then they try and send her back to her island, but then Rue is like, no, I think that you poisoned these people, because these animals. I know, because I'm from an island and I know more than you, I don't know. She comes back and she like uncovers the tea, I guess, because she wakes one of the animals up. And they discover that after all, Rue is a princess, because she finds her a mother, she's a long lost princess, and haha, they get married, what a surprise, and they live happily ever after. I have issues with this movie. It's a cute movie, I think it's different because it has like, you know, a different setting, more or less. It has kind of a pro-colonization stance. I'm definitely overthinking this. The fact that he just comes to the island, he's like, hey, come back with us, it's very like colonization vibes, you know, like the whole princess at the end thing, I get it, like it even happens in Barbie Rapunzel, but I don't know, like I feel like you don't have to do that, you know? Like, what if she wasn't a princess? That would be fine. Also, the fact that like the island girl, the island princess, literally knows like how to be a human being, even though she hasn't had human contact in like 10 years, is above me. The only thing that kind of differentiates her is that she like swings from trees, which I guess is kind of weird, but like I think it's cool that like the princess Rue stands up for herself. I think that's nice, and she kind of has a little bit of agency, I guess. She could have just gone back to the island, but she's like, no, I need to prove people wrong and save the kingdom. Always saving some kingdom in these movies. Princess Luciana, I think, is an example of a love triangle girl not being villainized, but the only reason she wasn't villainized is because she wasn't a threat, and she was like, go ahead, you guys love each other. And I think Princess Luciana, I think, should have had more depth to her. I hate the animals in this movie, especially that blue elephant. It's kind of a trend in a lot of these movies to have unnecessary talking animals. Like, please do not, because I don't want to see it. Like, even as a child, I was like, why are there so many side animals? Let's talk about... Basically, it follows Barbie, who is called Annika. She's a princess, I think. I don't remember. She's some sort of royal person. She lives in a palace, so I guess she's rich as hell. But she has really overprotective parents who are like, you need to tell us before you, like, I don't know, breathe or something.
Yo, tell me this doesn't look like a great time. Like, oh my god, I used to watch this and be like, I want to be there. Let's not talk about the animation. Silence. They're like,
Your Highness?
oh my god, cursed child again.
What's your name? Eric.
Oh my god!
Well, Eric, will you skate with me?
The Yeah, so much for diverting attention, miss.
He's like, ugh, it's my birthday, I want to like skate. But guess what? Evil guy comes in, I forgot what he was called. He's genuinely so freaking disgusting, this guy. And he kind of like freezes everyone in the city, and he's like, alright, well, if you marry me, I'll unfreeze them. But if you don't, then I'll freeze you too, or something. But Bestie, wait up, because Pegasus comes and saves Barbie. Annika, sorry. Unbeknownst to her, the Pegasus is Brietta, her long-lost sister, who has been transformed into a Pegasus by an evil guy. She has to save the kingdom, and therefore she discovers like a wand, and that's like a mythical wand, and she comes across sidekick number 5, Aiden, who's like a blacksmith or something. And then, yeah, they kind of discover this like mythical wand, and then they save the kingdom because of something, I don't know. And they defeat Wenlock, that's the evil guy's name, god. A lot of things I like about this movie. I love the visuals. I love that it like takes place in the clouds. It single-handedly made me think that clouds are solids and that you don't go through them flying at like millions of miles per hour if you actually try to go into one. Yeah, I love the etherealness. I love the color. Something else I liked is that Annika has a very strong personality here. Kind of sassy. She has a personality. She's not bland. The same can be said for Aiden. He does have a personality and he has a backstory. And I think that's really nice that his character develops and at the end you see him come full circle. I don't know. I like the message about family. I think it's more about family, and I don't know what it's about. It's fun though. I'm gonna talk about... So this movie is kind of a weird one because it's one of the newer ones, but it's fine anyways. It takes place in Paris? I don't know, it takes place in France.
Is this supposed to be Paris? Cause like, what is this? Person has clearly never been to Paris.
So you have Barbie as Corinne. Corinne wants to be a musketeer. She goes to Paris and she's like, hey, I want to be a musketeer. And they're like, well, you can't be a musketeer because you're a girl. Girl boss, girl power. This is the whole movie. So she becomes a maid in the castle as an attempt to become a musketeer. And then she meets like 4 other girls who are also maids. And she's like, hey, spoiler alert, I want to be a musketeer. And they're like, oh, bestie, me too. And then they come across another maid who's really old, and she's like, hey, I'll teach you how. And then, yeah, so they discover a plot against the prince by the royal advisor again. Like, really boring, this royal advisor, but he's evil, so they end up saving the day. There's a rendition of Unbelievable at the end of this movie. Very confusing contemporary movie, but for some reason I watched it so many times and thought it was, like, the best.
You think you know what it's all about, now listen to our reply. You say our dreams are impossible, you say we'll...
I guess I like this movie because of its extra feminist message. I think it's contemporary in that manner that it is centered around girl power and about like breaking gender norms or something. Also, Unbelievable is in the soundtrack. Does it make any sense? No, but did I enjoy it as a child? Yes. The prince is kind of like really boring. Kind of is boring in the way that they make a joke out of him, and that's different from the way that other princes are depicted. But he was kind of like kind of had misogynist vibes. He ends up with Corinne for some reason, or she ends up falling in love with him, which is giving like Major Diamond Castle vibes. Like, why would you fall in love with a guy that's kind of like a misogynist? Like, not really misogynist, but it gives off sexist vibes, sexist undertones, you know what I mean? I still hate the animals in this movie, but also I like that the ending, you know, Corinne doesn't definitively end up with the prince as in Barbie Diamond Castle and with many other Barbie movies. It's actually surprising that they don't end up being defined by that ending, by an ending of a relationship, you know? But it's also fine if it does, because, you know, just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean you're not strong, doesn't mean you're not like a interesting person. That's kind of stupid. Having movies where that is not the main thing is great. But let's move on to our last movie.
Do you want to look at how a high school looks like it's written by a 40-year-old? This is how it looks like.
I can't believe we're sophomores. And before you
Oh my
know it,
God.
juniors, and then seniors, and then we're totally in college.
I don't know what to say about this. That Barbie movie that is contemporary, but not in the Barbie and Three Musketeers way. It takes place in a contemporary setting, and the reason that is because it's like a teen drama kind of vibe, literally the plot of Mean Girls. So you have Barbie, who I think her name is Barbie in the movie. She wants to be a writer for this magazine in school, but Raquel, the villain in this movie, is like making her life miserable, and also she has a crush on Raquel's ex, I think.
Watch this. Hey, babe.
Well, it's not so bad. At least you remembered your name.
Hottie, who's not really a hottie, ends up being like horrible and like tricks her to get back with Raquel, and then she's like, oh, I discovered a diary that whenever I write something in it, like everything comes true. And then she's like, oh my god, let me do that. And then she becomes popular, and she ends up writing a documentary about the popular kids, but then she changes personality and ends up forgetting her old friends. Yeah, and then like at the end of the day, like she falls in love with her best friend who secretly had a crush on her, and she realizes she doesn't need the diary anymore. Okay, so first of all, the diary's presence is absolutely useless in this movie, because it was just there, I think, just as an ode to the fact that like Barbie movies always have some sort of magic element in them or magic system, and I think there is no need for that in this contemporary movie. I watched this like a million times because it was different, but yeah, the teen drama concept is cool, I guess. Fun teen drama, not really teen, but child drama movie that is a teen drama, but I hate that it's obviously written by a 40-year-old.
No, not today.
Why?
But today.
What's wrong with that? Like, who would be upset about that? Oh my god! Bruh.
Part of the story is dedicated to the love interest, although I think it's fine because, you know, we shouldn't shame girls for having crushes. The animation is absolutely horrendous.
Ignoring this disgusting game that is like so white, but like I kind of think I know why I hate the animation. I hate my life. Oh my god. God, I can't focus. Alright, so the hair, oh my god, so creepy. The hair is like photorealistic, and then the face isn't. I think it's just, it feels like it's like, it wasn't fully animated. You know what I mean? I don't know.
It makes it really hard to rewatch this movie. It's not that the animation is bad, because like I've told you, like all the other movies I mentioned before, the animation wasn't stellar either. I mean, they're direct to DVD movies. Here it's like they try and change it up, but it's horrible, and I can't pinpoint what it is exactly. It's also still kind of about friendship, so I guess that's nice. And then actually it has an abandonment of the magic system, like actually I don't need this, so that's also kind of nice. Yeah, and I like that the villain is also conventionally attractive, although I wish she had like more of like a redemption arc. Barbie villains are all like kind of flat most of the time.
Watch this.
What's up?
Hey, check it out. I was shooting cheerleader practice, and look what wandered into my shot.
Why were you shooting cheerleader practice, Kevin?
Look, do you want to see the footage or not?
Tell me why literally all these outfits are so freaking ugly. Like, what the hell is this, honey? Oh my god, the old phone!
The anchor! Who cares if she's exciting, fresh, and fun?
Please. She sounds like a deodorant.
Let's move on to the general trends. So in general, I would just want to say Kelly Sheridan embodies Barbie, and I think the moment she stopped playing Barbie, from the exception of Barbie Mariposa, because that was really good, and obviously they used the voice actor for Nori as Mariposa, and therefore they used something that we were familiar with, but also she's kind of a good, in my opinion, a good voice actress. And also I just wanted to say that I like that the movies kind of celebrate girls, and it's not in a girl boss way most of the times, it's just celebrating girls and not shaming them for being, different, I guess. Because now I feel like it makes more sense to me, because femininity right now is something that's being villainized, and I don't think it's necessarily an issue to be more stereotypically feminine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that at all, and I think that our current society always finds ways to attack girls socially is horrible. And you have a movie franchise that kind of embodies, empowering girls for that.
You can't tell me what to do.
First of all,
But I'm sure grandfather will insist.
animation is bad, but look at how much better it is for Barbie and like the female characters. I mean, maybe not her, but Barbie.
Clara.
Yeah, even the female characters in general, like, so much better.
You're at least ahead.
Then that's nice. Although I do think that they don't show the full spectrum of types of women out there, but I do wish that they have characters who are more different and more diverse, because they end up feeling very similar. Like, they gave us a lot of female characters that were strong and were witty and smart, and they're kind of good role models, and I really like that. I think it's important to have media like that for young kids. And I really like the fact that, romance isn't the central thing in a lot of these movies. Barbie kind of loses its touch once it starts going into the real world, which is why I think once they make Barbie movies in a more contemporary setting, that's when it started to lose its touch on people, because the whole idea of Barbie is that it's kind of like a really magical world, and it's like a different universe, and there's a touch to it. But if you just put her in a contemporary setting, I think people lose interest, because they can just watch, another teen drama, go on YouTube and have a more authentic teen experience. I think Barbie is catching up to that, because I think she has a YouTube channel now. I don't know, I haven't been keeping up, but I do think with Barbie movies, it is no surprise they kind of fell off, and also they changed the animation style, and it's even more horrendous now. So
Bruh, they've got anime eyes on this one. This is really the beginning of the end for them, I think. Wait, can we see her a little bit of a close-up? Do you see what I mean?
although I do think there are issues. Obviously, there's the issue of intersectionality. There aren't a lot of diverse characters in the Barbie movies. I mean, like I mentioned, there are some racially ambiguous characters. Like in the Mariposa movies, there's a lot of randomly Latina characters and black characters just strewn around all of the Barbie movies, but mostly have Eurocentric features. And I think that's a shame, because they could have used the formula of Barbie telling a story of Barbie as something, if you know what I mean, like in Barbie the Nutcracker, when she tells a story of Barbie in the Nutcracker. They could have used that, and they could have said, hey, here's a new character as diverse. Or they could have just used the BFCU, because, for example, Elena and Mariposa are two different characters in the same universe, and therefore I get that Barbie has to be white because she is white. When Barbie as Elena is telling a story of another character in the same universe, and it actually opens up the opportunity to have other characters who are actually not Barbie, and then you can just have even one or a couple of movies that follow their story, just something that centers around a diverse character or minority character. Issue with these movies, again, that there's this whole association with conventionally unattractive or slightly heavier people as evil, and I think it's messed up, and I think it's actually a common thing in a lot of movies, especially fairy tale movies.
How would you like a new feather pillow?
Just a little interesting news for you. I saw somebody today in the village.
In the village?
That interest me. No reason. Just a certain girl with long blonde
But I do see that they changed it sometimes with a lot of these movies, so that's a welcome change. There is a progression as, you know, Barbie movies get newer. There is like more diverse characters. I just think it's the whole series, it's just centered around selling this toy, but at the same time it was so much more for people like me who I just found these female characters inspiring for me. You know, just strong female characters and adventure stories and healthy representation of female friendships, which was something that I thought was really good because that resonated with me as a child, you know, because that was what I was going through. I could go into more movies, but I wouldn't, not in one video, but if you want more, then I don't know, maybe I'll make a second part. But yeah, I think let's just go straight into the memorabilia section. So my stupid gave away all my Barbie DVDs when I was 15, I think, or something, 14, because I decided I was not a child anymore, which is stupid since I was actually 14. So to all the parents out there, when your 14-year-old child asks you to give away all their Barbie movies, please don't listen to them, because they're going through their not like other girls phase. So love the misogyny we face in our society as children, you know, that we're told that these things devalue us, you know. I managed to reclaim them one by one, so I have a little bit of a victory here. But so as you can see, this is my collection right now. It's most of the classics except Barbie in a Fashion Fairy Tale and Barbie Princess Charm School, just because I didn't feel the need. Also Barbie in A Christmas Carol. I'm actually trying to find that one, but it's so expensive and I'm not sure why. But yeah, look at this beautiful collection. Although some of the covers really make me upset. Like, look at this. But it's okay, like it's the same movie, I think. Some of them have different DVD covers that I kind of find disgusting, but they're beautiful because they're in their form. Like, the DVDs are there and they have bonus features.
Each with sparkling thistleburst.
Wait. Oh my god.
That will look so pretty. Her hair looks
It looks so wrong!
love to wear mine like that. Every butterfly fairy should wear a bikini dress to a fancy ball.
No!
One too.
No, this one. No. Why?
That one. You really
No,
did
this is wrong!
good job.
It's over! No! This is cursed. Is this a mini game?
Well, here we are. Paintings will look beautiful on these walls. Let's play a game as we decorate.
What?
I'll give you a clue or tell you the name of a painting. Then, using your DVD remote control, you see if you can pick the right one. When you choose the right one,
No.
we'll hang it. The first painting I would like to hang is a landscape. A landscape. is
Oh,
a
no,
painting
this
with
one.
outdoor view.
Ooh.
That's right.
Sparkles.
This painting is a true landscape. Yes. This is
Barbie's
Boy with a
teaching us
Basket of
art.
Fruit by Caravaggio. Do you know what a still life painting is?
Yeah. So, this is one of the weirdest mini games I've ever seen in a DVD. Let me elaborate. Basically, you choose a quality that Clara has, and then you practice it and you act it out on your own in your room. Look, this is like, these are lines, like this is a practice scene, and then you're supposed to act it out in like whatever setting you are in. It's such a weird mini game. I get the point, but it's so different from anything else I've seen, honestly. This is not ending, is it?
Get ready to listen to the
Like, you act each thing out. This is such a weird mini game. Yeah, it's an old DVD, so I get it, but like, it's a weird mini game is all I can say. I also have like the princess collection. I'm so excited. Also, I had a lot of Barbie dolls. I was the perfect demographic. Although I gave all of them away, as I mentioned, but I do have one. I do have two, actually, because my mom kept them. I think it's a Fairytopia one, but she has pink hair. But she is like, it has a Mermaidia design with like the dress she wears at the end. Yeah, I think the way it impacted me personally, I already mentioned like a million times, it really inspired me. And also I think just something additional to that, the etherealness of these movies impacted the way I like my music taste or everything like that, because I love things that are ethereal and like kind of like dreamy. And I think it's really important to look back on these kind of things from older eyes and say, wow, like, these are the good things, these are the bad things, but, you know, I appreciate them for what they did to my childhood. And yeah, I just really love these movies, and I don't know if I'll make more videos about them because I really love them. But they definitely won't be the nostalgia factor unless you any of my 5 followers request like a part 2. Other than that, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the ether, I guess. I don't know.